Darren Moe tries for a little warmth on a bitter January day. Today, he'll begin killing 23 friends who just happen to be horses.
It affects people in ways that people don't understand. Horses know what's going down. That's just so brutal.
Moe is an outfitter. He takes tourists on week-long journeys into the backcountry of Jasper National Park, thanks to the skills and strength of a collection of horses like Buck.
Old Buck, he's been out there longer than I have. Probably my main teacher. He's been working for 21 years of his life in the mountains, and he's over 30 years of age now, and it doesn't look like he's ready to stop.
Buck will have to stop now. He and 22 other horses in Darren Moe's herd have tested positive for a virus. It's called equine infectious anemia, or EIA. It's a condition that can kill, but most often carriers live apparently healthy lives. Still, even if it never makes them sick, it's a death sentence.
These are the blacks that are also positive. All of them are pregnant. And they're the leaders. We're losing basically our working herd. Sweetheart, just stop for a minute. Granny, cranky. We gotta go all the way over there.
At least one senior member of the herd seems to sense bad things are about to happen.
Sweetie.
Lady wants nothing to do with Darren today.
Sweetie, smarten up. I know you're mad at me. I don't blame you, even one bit.
It's obvious something is up.
You're okay.
There are almost as many people as horses for this final roundup. One is Guy Porter, Darren's partner and mountain guide. He has the skill to convince Lady to cooperate.
Thank you. Okay, you can go. Sweetheart, moving up. Oh yeah, I'll bite my finger too yet.
Darren Moe's 11-year-old daughter Jasper is here too, on Snips, a horse she got 7 years ago, just after a car accident killed her mother. Guy Porter's wife Christine braves the cold for a final ride on her favorite horse, Stretch, another condemned animal. Other friends and relatives have gathered to help say goodbye to a collection of prime mountain horses.
They work really hard out in those mountains, and it's not an easy trip. It hasn't changed in a couple hundred years, and it's never going to. If it wasn't for them, nobody'd be doing it.
Year after year, these horses have carried Moe and Porter and their clients into the wilderness and back again, safely.
They're the ones that are making the choices whether it's safe to cross that river or go over that glacier or do things like that.
Both men figure they owe these horses big time. That's why Moe has fought the slaughter order. He did the research and made countless phone calls, trying to persuade the federal government to change its test and slaughter policy.
And you thought that you could win and save them. You kind of knew the inevitability of it, I guess, at the beginning because of the policy, so it wasn't. But I thought that you could change things in a short time, but you can't.
Moe believes killing these animals is a senseless waste. When we come back, the other side of the story. At Darren Moe's place, the horses gallop into the farmyard. They all look healthy, but they represent a threat that makes the government and other horse owners very nervous.
We had a situation where a person down the road from Darren had an animal test positive last summer. I'm not able to say where that virus came from, but that's the sort of situation you're looking at, is that there are other people in the general vicinity of Darren's who have some major concerns.
Dave Jordans is a federal veterinarian. Part of his job, perhaps the worst part, is issuing slaughter orders for EIA.
I feel that it's my job to try and prevent somebody else from going through that same situation. If we don't do anything with it and those animals happen to spread the infection to someone else in the area, then somebody else has to go through exactly the same thing that he's going through.
Someone else, like Chris Gould. He's a horse breeder who owns dozens of valuable animals. He's never lost one to equine anemia, but he had a close call when he boarded a horse over the winter that turned out to be a carrier.
And it could happen anywhere. It wasn't just the guiding and outfitters. We had an outbreak last year with the chuck wagon ponies.
Gould represents the Canadian Equestrian Federation, a group that pushed the government to adopt a test and slaughter policy.
And that it is the horse equivalent to AIDS, that there's no cure, and it could go dormant for years and years and years.
Gould's animals are hundreds of kilometers from Darren Moe's farm. Still, he'll breathe easier when those 23 mountain horses are dead.
Every horse that is a carrier, unfortunately, is a loaded gun, as far as anybody in this arena or anywhere else is concerned.
It's not a gun, but a needle full of tranquilizer that begins the killings at the Moe farm.
Jasper, hold socks for me, please.
The idea is to make it as painless as possible for the horses.
I'm so sorry.
Block has carried Guy Porter across swollen rivers in the Rockies and down the aisle at his wedding.
Sorry. It's okay. You're just falling asleep. What a friend he's been.
Seen that horse dance across swamps that were just water. Him and that big cowboy, he stays on top. Fuck me. Yeah, you gotta go. You might as well go, you big goof.
Darren Moe copes by talking tough. It's a trait he has passed on to his daughter.
And like she said, I watched my mom die. Like, what's the big deal? This is a horse. I can deal with this.
Jasper and her younger brother Logan insisted on being here. Moe will get compensation for these horses. The 23 deaths will bring the number of EIA slaughters in Alberta this year to more than 100. That number would be much higher if testing was mandatory. It's not.
Come on.
The only reason Darren Moe has to kill his horses is because he tried to sell 4 last year. The buyer had them tested for EIA.
He asked me if I minded testing. I said no. I didn't expect all 4 to test positive.
Come on, ponies. Come on, Blaze.
That forced Moe to check his whole herd and brought on this nightmare day. His business is crippled, his daughter and friends devastated because he took a chance on selling some animals.
Oh, it's hard on everybody. Everybody's in their own space.
Moe has long suspected that some of his horses were carrying EIA. It didn't matter. They've never gotten sick, and he's been careful about allowing them near other horses. That's why he has trouble accepting that these animals must be killed.
I understand how the horse industry's scared of it, but I'm not scared of it within mine, so they shouldn't kill mine and not do anything about the rest of the problem.
The rest of the problem. In Alberta, only about 5% of horses are ever tested for EIA. Moe knows other outfitters are not anxious to change that. They don't want to look too closely at their own horses.
in our industry, there would be a high percentage. If we were at 40%, there'd be others that are too.
So why aren't outfitters all getting together and saying, this is a mistake, you guys shouldn't be doing this?
Because it isn't mandatory to do this test. And why would anyone take a chance on losing their livelihood if they don't have to? We just got into this by a fluke.
In the absence of mandatory testing, how much real difference is it going to make to kill those animals?
Again, that's a difficult question. Certainly, in the small picture, being the area that Darren lives in, I believe it's a significant difference.
But Jordan's admits changing the big picture is a different story.
Most people don't want to know whether or not they have EIA. And until that attitude changes, we're dealing with a disease that is going to stay around and frustrate owners as well as the government and the general public.
Jordan's frustration comes from being in the middle, having to administer a control program that's clearly inadequate. Dealing with EIA is especially tough in Western Canada because of the high number of feral horses, animals with no owners, spread throughout the wilderness. Finding and testing all of them is all but impossible. Still, serious progress could be made if the government and industry could find the money and the will to test every horse possible for EIA.
Unfortunately, we are dealing with it the way we have been told to deal with it. Is that nibbling at the edges? I guess you can look at it that way.
Mo had until the spring fly season to kill his horses, but thoughts of this day have been eating away at him for months.
We just decided it's easier to do it now than prolong it. We're just dealing with the grief now, getting it over with.
Watch that, Alicia, because he might be kind of staggery. So you
It's 2 in the afternoon, it's getting colder, and the horses get the massive injections that will kill.
Oh. I'm sorry, big fella. You are the best, too.
It's a very lethal drug that goes directly into the vein.
Darren Mo tries to explain to his son.
He just goes to sleep. He doesn't feel nothing, so it's not that bad. Get it. Stay back, Logan.
This is Jake.
Just go to the end of the shank. There it goes. Just pull him down.
That was Jerry. And Elwood. It's a private day full of painful moments.
No, get away, honey, because we don't know what she's doing. Just come here.
It would be easier to take if Mo or Porter believed killing these horses would make a real difference to the EIA problem in Western Canada.
The impact on the horse general population, probably none. It's still going to exist, the disease. It's not, this step today is, I don't know, it's not going to help anything, you know. This isn't the way to solve it. I don't have any answers, but this certainly isn't a way to solve things.
It's not a pretty sight.
Darren Mo insists there is a better way, that EIA can be controlled without brutal scenes like this, that there is at least the possibility of a vaccine. That's why he wanted the cameras here, to try to prod Canadian authorities into spending more money on research.
The government's unsure, the horse industry's unsure. Well, let's get all the information together then and figure out where we should go from here.
Take her for a run up the hill.
By day's end, both Jasper and Darren decide to keep their favorite horses alive until the final deadline in March.
Like old Buck, I couldn't do him today. Jasper had the choice and she decided not to do snips. But it's going to be probably inevitable in March. We're going to go through the same thing all over again, is what we did today.
It's an awful prospect, but not as bad as living with the idea that good friends were killed and nothing changed.
I won't ever shut up about this. It's something that's close to me, and I want to hear all the answers before it happens to someone else.
For CBC News, I'm Jim McQuarrie, near Camrose, Alberta.